I fell in love with gay neighbor, but he's in love with my sister. I have never known a life without pain and fear. A life where I could be myself without the fear of being punished. A life where I could love who I wanted without the fear of being cast out. My mother, Cristina, never liked the fact that I was gay. She would beat me whenever I did something wrong, and sometimes for no reason at all. My father had left her for another man, and I think that seeing me reminded her of him, which only added to her hate. The physical pain was always unbearable, but the emotional pain was worse. I often wondered if my mother even loved me, or if I was just a burden to her. Thankfully, my neighbor Jhondel was always there for me. Being just a year older than me, he became my only friend and someone I could trust. He would sneak out of his house, climb over the fence, and come to my window at night when my mother was asleep and treat my wounds. He would always reassure me that everything would be alright, and that someday we would escape this hellhole. One day I woke up to the feeling of someone's lips on mine. It was a strange sensation, and for a moment I wasn't sure if I was dreaming or not. But as I opened my eyes and looked at him, I knew it was real. My eyes darted around the dimly lit room, finally coming to rest on Jhondel, who was sitting beside me, holding my shoulders down. Jhondel, I spoke in my mind. I can't say anything since I'm too tired. He didn't notice that I'm awake. I just lay there, still as stone. As he leaned over me, my eyes widened in shock when his lips brushed again against mine. I was frozen, unable to move or speak, my mind whirring with confusion. My heart was beating so fast, I was sure it was audible. "What are you doing?" I asked him, trying to keep my voice steady and calm. As quickly as it had begun, Jhondel pulled back, his eyes searching my face for some kind of response. But I could only look at him, unable to process what had just happened. He instantly looked away, trying to hide what he has done. "I was just treating your wounds, Greg." "Oh." I looked down at my arms, which were covered in bruises and scratches, thanks to my abusive mother, but I couldn't shake the feeling that there was something more going on with Jhondel. "So he's treating my wounds by kissing me?" "I don't believe you," I said, my voice growing more insistent. "You were kissing me, weren't you?" I teased. Jhondel shook his head vigorously. No, I swear I wasn't. Look, I just wanted to help you out. Maybe you were dreaming of me kissing you, weren't you? Do you think I'll believe that excuse?" I laughed, but my smile also faded instantly because of the aching bruises in my arms. "Of course. Why will I kiss you? We're both male." "Okay." I tried to change the subject and lighten the mood. "So, do you have any plans for the weekend?" I asked him, feigning casualness. "You're still hurt and you already asked me to do something fun?" He's always had a concern for me. No wonder I fell for him, even if we're only just 15 years old. "These wounds will heal. I'm strong. I can handle them. So I repeat, do you have plans on weekends?" Jhondel shrugged. "Not really. Maybe we could hang out or something." I nodded. "Sounds good to me. Maybe we could check out that new movie that just came out." And just like that, the tension between us dissipated. After treating my wounds, we spent the rest of the morning watching TV and joking around like nothing had happened. But I couldn't help but wonder what was really going on with Jhondel. Was he really just trying to help me out? Or was there something more going on? It was a question that would stay with me for days to come. My mother was not always bad. There was a side of her that looks after me, cares for me, and loves me. "Don't forget to eat your food, huh? I'll go to the grocery store later to buy ingredients for your favorite food," Mom said to me before me and my sister, Pete, also called as Princess, go to school. "Okay, Mom. Please don't overthink again. It's not good for you." She kissed us both goodbyes before we left. I have a hint that maybe she's bipolar, since sometimes she's good to me, but sometimes she acts like she can kill me anytime. But I can't leave her, even if it's a disadvantage for me to stay here. She's still my mother after all. Pete and I were walking home from school, and I could feel the tension in the air. We knew what was waiting for us at home. Our mother's alcoholism and her abusive behavior towards me in particular had become almost too much